Just to let you know, everyone, we're now going live.
Anyone else?
No.
And another COVID test.
Yeah. So have it.
I see Al, I see Ken, I see Chris, Hollis. And that's it. Yeah, Chris Spear, I see him there.
He's a CAO.
Okay. We'll bring the meeting to order then, 6 o'clock. I think we have a quorum. And I don't believe we have any visitors that are going to be speaking.
Not just Justin.
No. Yeah, Justin's here. Conflict of interest declarations. Does anybody have any conflict of interest with any of the topics for this evening, the agenda items? Okay, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. You've all had a chance to review the agenda. Could I have someone move that the agenda be adopted as presented? Thank you, Winston. A seconder. Heather, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes of April 28th, 2022. You've all had a chance to review those minutes. If there are no questions or comments, could I have someone move that those minutes be adopted as presented? Glenn, a seconder? Wayne? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Yeah, for contrary.
Any contrary? Are you going to say something?
You could have it in there.
No contrary. New business. The acting executive director appointment, we're going to take that into closed, but we have a proposed motion for that, so then we'll have to bring that back out into open session.
Okay.
Right now, did we turn off the streaming for this portion?
Yes.
Yeah, streaming's off, but directors stay on.
All right, just
They
once,
just done online.
if you just give me a moment, I'm just gonna see if I can pause the live stream. I'm gonna have to just end it, I think. I'm just asking this question, because it could get complicated here on the streaming side. Is it possible to move this to the end of the meeting?
We can certainly do that.
I think
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Let's
because-
just do that. We'll move it to the end of
Because
the
we'll
meeting.
have to, yeah,
All right.
start the meeting for.
Okay.
Welcome back in. We're gonna postpone that to the end of the meeting.
Because I can work.
Sure, yeah.
Thanks for coming back.
My card. Okay.
The next item under new business is working group, advisory group, and transition team representation. And I'm going to hand that over to Ken Anthony for that one.
Thank you, Chairman Ken, and of course, all the members of the board. First, I'd like to a great big thank you to Claudette and Alec for hosting us today at our working group meeting and making sure lunch was provided, even though it was rerouted, but we still had a great lunch, and you people are enjoying the same lunch today. And also, Hollis was connected as well, so Hollis was a great assistance today. We went down through the respective service deliveries, of course, the current ones, which is solid waste and planning and plus recreation. We had some time on economic development, tourism, and community development, regional transportation, and recreation infrastructure cost sharing. And as you probably may know, is that we don't have all the answers yet to these respective different deliveries, but we are getting closer. And I'm glad to say that we had a good meeting today. We went down through the different areas, and when the minutes are done up, of course, the committee will have the minutes. And the other thing that I went and informed the committee of the day on June 6th and 7th, the transition facilitators are going to be meeting in Moncton, and we're going to be taking each of the deliverable services and we're going to put the cost sharing formally around them at our meeting. So at that time, we're going to be in much better shape to let you know what the cost sharing may be and really where we are with the respective deliverables that we have listed as mandated services effective 2023. So more news to come in a couple of weeks' time with more concrete information is the plan. Is there anything from the group, Ken?
Any questions from anyone for Ken?
Is there anything being done on garbage collection? When are we gonna find out about that? What's gonna happen with it? What's gonna take
Well,
place?
there's a meeting on Friday, as a matter of fact, talking about the contract of services for waste management. So there's a meeting 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, so that'll bring some more information on that particular topic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ryan Donahue holding that
I
meeting.
think Alan's gonna spend a hand on it.
Okay, Alan?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to ask how the hiring process of our CAO or our CEOs of our regional service commission. I'm just concerned about what I'm hearing because I'll just say what my concerns are is this board has hired our CAO or CEO, and I just want to know why we're not part of that.
yeah, but the part of the transition team, Al, is the interviewing of the chief executive officer. So first of all, KBRS is doing that recruitment, and that recruitment process has started now. They're going to be doing recruitment and looking at potential candidates for up to June and first part of July. And then in July, matter of fact, Jim received a phone call today, and Ken will be receiving as well from KBRS. So we're looking at setting up the final meeting, the final interviews for the CEOs for RSC 10 in July. And when it gets to us, I'm suspecting now there'll probably be maybe no more than 2 or 3 candidates, even if there's that many candidates, to be honest with you. Did you hear what I said to you?
Yeah, I'm just still concerned.
Okay, well, the transition team is that's gonna be made up of people at the RSC and myself. So I mean, we'll be interviewing, and that's when it gets down to probably the final 2 or 3 candidates that we're going to be involved as a transition team. And if you got any concerns that you don't want to express now, by all means, pick up the phone and give me a call. How's that?
Okay, Winston, you have a question?
But, like Alan, it does make a lot of sense that we're the ones that have to work with them. And we're not gonna be allowed to pick them, or we're not gonna be allowed, like, you're gonna
Yes,
have
you
one,
are.
you're gonna have 1 or 2 people on the board or on the interview with you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have us on the interview with you, so we don't know what's really going on.
You'll have a representative from the board. I'll be sitting there. Jim will be, I think Glenn's.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm there, and also, we may have one other, we're not sure. Matter of fact, we also do have, because we had a volunteer today from St. Stephen, Jeff, the CAO, is also going to be on the transition team, which is great news they get today. So he will be involved in that process as well.
Hopefully.
The board will be involved in the board will be involved in the interviewing process when it gets down to the final candidate, yes.
No other comments, questions? Okay. Did you have anything else, Ken?
No, is it okay if I hang on until the meeting is over, or would you like for me to?
Oh,
Get off
No, certainly happy to have you stay.
Okay, I like to stay if you don't mind, thanks.
The economic development workshop, I'm gonna hand that over to Glenn.
Well, I guess we were tentatively planning an economic development workshop for, we were talking around this time to have it in St. Andrews. We didn't have any regulations, et cetera, from the province. That was canceled, but now that we have some of, like, I guess the mandate, there is consideration to start to have that meeting again. So I guess it's whether or not we want to have that meeting or that workshop within within our group, I guess, and it was gonna have more than just our group. It was also gonna be including other stakeholders in the community, like, Petal, Lacoa, Future St. Stephen and so on, and representation from all the LCs and municipalities. So I guess the real question is, do we want to have that meeting again, I guess, or put it back on the table for consideration? I guess the way I look at it is the province is giving us some education or information on how economic development. So we'll give us a reason how to decide is what we want for economic development. So for instance, okay, the province is saying, okay, industrial parks are the responsibility of the municipalities. Well, as a region, where do we want industrial parks? And where do we want to grow tourism? Where do we want to grow commercial, et cetera? So, what do we want to have an economic development strategy for the region for us to work together towards? And it's not just, us, it's also business and, when we apply for money, if we have a plan and we're supporting each other, we'll be more likely to get money from a co or a Petal or whoever and not be competing with each other. But really, it's, do we want to have a session to talk about a strategy for the region for economic development?
Personally, I think it's a smart idea to, even though we do have the economic mandate now, and it's somewhat limited as to what's in there. I think it would do us well if we did sit down as a board with these other folks to see where we want to take ourselves economically as a region. I think we'll get a lot better results if we approach it from a regional perspective rather than an individual perspective. That's just my thoughts.
There was also some consideration to have someone like, I might get the name wrong, but I believe it's Gerard Bellavoe.
Yeah.
Although he was around, in the time where Moncton was recovering from CN, and what they come up with and how they work together as a region to grow southeastern Brunswick. So, they took a regional concept and worked together as a region. And, hey, Moncton's done quite well.
So how do you guys feel? You think we should move forward with this idea?
I think it's a good idea.
No question, we can move forward.
Okay. I see a lot of head shaking in the affirmative.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my head shaking, but I say yes.
Okay, I think from around the table, I think we have a consensus that we move forward with that. And so, Glenn, if you don't mind looking into that.
Yeah, I can.
We can work together to set that up.
I will take an action to work with yourself and Hollis and work towards setting something up. And Petal is willing to help fund it as well.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thanks, everyone. Next item under new business is, I had it under here, the Regional Health Planning Committee update. I became aware, Al, that there's another group working in your area or in trying to locate doctors for the area. And are you aware of that group?
Yeah, part of it.
Do you think it would be wise that if we had a joint meeting and to see where we go?
100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the struggles I'm having is I'm torn between the two of them. So I'd like to see them unite as one, actually.
Okay.
But yes, I think I've requested that already.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I don't know. Obviously, it hasn't made it to the chair. So either way, we got to marry them two together and either make one out of them or what. I don't know what it is, but yes, I totally agree.
Okay.
I will clarify the group that's in St. Stephen is not just St. Stephen. It's still the Charlotte County area. So that's talking. So there's representatives from St. George. I think it's Sharon Tucker's on it. She's a chair, I believe. And, there's others, and there's hospital staff. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to set that meeting up for us, or?
I've mentioned it to them, and I'll talk to them again and see if maybe they can, see what they want to do. It's either take the representatives from this one and just join in. I don't know how, it'd be just simple as that, maybe. Yeah, we'll talk more about it and see if we can set something up one way or another.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Glenn, sorry.
Is the other group a funded group, or is it just a group of people that got together?
I don't know, tell you the truth. Al, do you have any more information on that?
So the other group, it has our MLA on it, Kathy Bacchus. It's got Sharon Tucker. It has Steve Bachman, Deputy Mayor of St. Stephen, Ghislaine Wheaton, myself, Kendall. It's just a group of the leaders in the communities. Just Tess Kamal from the Horizon is on there as well. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much, Al. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Committee and staff reports, executive director's report. Claudette?
I put together photocopy packages because, to be honest, I didn't know how to do that. So, everybody has a copy of it in their package. I guess I probably don't need to read it out word for word. There's a solid waste update, as Hollis usually gave. And then I asked each of the management team to supply me with their own reports. So there's a solid waste manager, which is Mike Young, and he just let us know the construction on cell 12 is ongoing. And then also there's news from the waste reduction coordinator, Trisha Dickerson, that gave the recycle numbers, and environmental trust fund, we received 30,000 for public information campaigns. Moving on, we have the planning update, which Alex has supplied here with the permits and the development permits. And I guess we can go on through with the other information that he went over. Sherry gave us a recreation coordinator update about the Provincial Trails Advisory Committee and the Coastal Link Trail. And I guess the last thing is my own note is that our executive director is recovering from profoundly serious heart surgery, and he's continuing to improve. As staff are very anxious to have him back in the driver's seat, as I'm sure you are all feeling the same. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Claudette. Any questions, comments for Claudette? No, I think there's no, I don't think anybody's gonna come back.
Definitely, just wanted to, just to add a piece here, there was the second paragraph talks about there was a bit of a backlog. Some of that has actually just been cleared up recently. We've been working with people with the, some of the new earthquake requirements under 2015 code. And just recently we put some more information on our website to really help people guide through that. So at one point we had about 7 or 8 houses that were backlogged due to that, but that's actually been just recently, since this report was submitted to Claudette, it's been cleared up. So
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. Okay.
I got a question.
Al?
Just on what Alice was just talking, I don't like hearing backlogs of held up housing. How fast are we working on a solution, or are we giving them flexibility? How are we tackling this?
Yeah, I was just saying that that did get cleared up. So what it was is there were some contractors who weren't aware of the earthquake requirements under code now in the area, and so we've just been working with them as best as possible to put some easy to understand education on our website. It's unique to this region. because of the seismic activity from running from Macadam down the St. Croix River. And we're the only region in, I believe the Maritimes
Yeah, I know.
that has this. Quebec and BC are the only other places in Canada who have this. So, yeah, we got that cleared up now, so it's not an issue with at least the backlog we're dealing with at the time of this report.
I don't know, I thought it might have been down at like one of the islands,
No,
maybe Grand.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Financial report, Mark Porter.
All right. Well, it's kind of the same old thing. We got lots of money.
And that's as good as it gets.
I'm short of sleep.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Claudette to put that up on the screen.
I'll do what? I can
Oh.
walk here again.
Okay. I didn't print it out. I can go through it again. All right. So overall, we have a surplus of 542,000 this year. So out of that, our solid waste service on the next page has 523,000 of that. And we did take a beating in equipment repairs last month. Some big repairs. Next page is local planning. So it's actually 18,000 in the hole there so far. And that's because under other admin expenses, there's been a bunch of costs related to the new equipment purchase. And get online with everything. So that should rectify itself by the end of the year. Cooperative and regional planning, it's got a surplus of 33,000 so far. Once we start spending a little more money, that will rectify itself as well. Balance sheet shows our total closure fund investments right now about 1.9 million. We've got 3.6 million in reserve, and cash balances are 1.8 million roughly. So we're pretty flush with money and liquid as well. You flip over, Hollis wasn't here, so I thought I'd add some color and graphs to your report. C&D tonnage for the year. So I just went back a couple of years to 2020 and 21 and compared it with 2022. So overall, this year, our C&D tonnage is actually up. And next page is it's the business solid waste or industrial, consumer, institutional. It's actually down 0.3% for year-to-date tonnage from what it was before. The line didn't really match the prior years, so different trend there for some reason. You see, as you go along the rest of the year, it goes up and stays pretty steady after that till the end of the year. Cover material tonnage, now it's all over the board anyway. So far this year, it's up 18.2% compared to.
And we hardly had any business.
Yeah.
So that'll take that number right down again.
There. Because in March, there was a big flood of it for some reason.
Yeah, no, we've had, in the last week, we've had 2 trucks.
Okay. Over there. Well, that's throwing off our lines because the previous 2 years, the lines were pretty
So
consistent.
they're having a hard time finding what the hell, I think for the price,
Now,
because the price of fuel so high.
that's right, yeah. Hey, our municipal solid waste, the night lines they're just perfect. They match all the way along. Year starts out low, January, February, March picks up, and good for the rest of the year. Our USA waste tonnage, that doesn't include C&D from the US side. So it's actually up 5.6% in year-to-date tonnage compared to the previous year to the end of April. So it's like the other stuff, it starts out low in the spring and then goes up and seems to stay good. And Western Valley is the next one, so tonnage always starts out high in the first few months and then it will drop off till the fall.
I've got to ask the question.
You like the graphs.
The graphs were nice.
I'll also be back, they'll disappear.
But C and D tonnage, I'm sure I heard you say that that had increased.
Yeah, the year-to-date tonnage is actually up, yeah.
But it looks, according to the graph, that it's not.
Depends where the lines are, because look at January, January's way up.
January was.
Yeah. And
It's not a graph that shows you the total accumulation. It just shows you the amount per month.
Yeah,
So you'd have to add up all the numbers. So it's,
Okay.
it's not really,
yeah, unless I got something wrong in there somewhere, but I don't think so.
But I'm a little bit mind of mine was just confused.
if you add up
It's
more
cool.
numbers,
Well, it's like our year-to-date tonnage, the overall tonnage coming in through the scale is up 4.9%.
Okay.
So the moneymaker stuff is what comes from the US, so it's up 5.6%. And our municipal solid waste and their commercial waste is at about 1% overall. So the US is what's driving our numbers.
I've got another question. I believe it was the second page. You talked about machinery and equipment, maintenance was up.
Yep.
Where's that stemming from?
Oh, there was 2 big pieces of equipment had repairs on last year. Remember which ones they were
Yeah,
last month?
that's just, I'm just finding this out. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah,
Is it a little bit like an excavator?
I don't think it was the excavator. I think it was backhoe and
Bulldozer.
bulldozer. Okay.
Bulldozer?
At least somebody knows. I
Good.
look at it at the time, that's it.
And how significant were those
So $80,000.
80,000 piece?
Yeah. That's why you look at our machinery and equipment budget, we're at 50% of our annual budget right now. So if it occurred evenly, we'd be at 33% of the budget. So we're a third of the way through the year.
Having that information in hand then, perhaps at our next meeting, we could go over the capital equipment plan. So we can take a look at some of those large pieces of equipment and just review again when they're being replaced or when the plan is being done for them. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Mike.
You're referring to the finance and audit committee?
Yes, yeah, we can have a look at that and bring that back to the meeting. Anybody else have any questions or comments on the financial report? Wade? Well, I thought I saw you, Wade. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I want to ask something, but it's about the earthquake and the seismic thing. But we can do that after you've done the regular agenda.
Okay. Any other questions on the finance? Okay, thanks, Mark. Correspondence, we had 2 letters that came in. You've all had a chance to review those letters. They were sent out with your packages. One was from Minister Alain. And basically the question had been put to him about funding transition committee members for transportation. And the answer that came back was no, there is no funding for that. The second item was very interesting. And that was a letter from the St. John Airport. And evidently Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission has the ability to have a position with the airport's board of directors. I was never aware of that, so it was a nice little surprise to me that we could have some influence there. As you've read through that letter, they're looking to have us submit the names of 3 candidates. And they do have a bit of a list there as to what the qualifications they are looking for. So I wanted the board to be aware that that was out there. And if there's no questions or anything on it, I would suggest that perhaps we try and submit 3 names to see how they would stack up to potentially become a board member with the St. John Airport. Thoughts and comments? Anyone?
Mr. Chair,
Oh,
just a bit of clarification. It can be up to 3 names. It doesn't have to be 3. It can be 1 or 2 as well. And I know there's at least 1 member that is keenly interested and I think would be a great candidate.
Okay, thanks, Hollis.
But I think that all the airports, I know they've got one Fredericton too. Because I think you're gonna have to deal with larger areas and before they dealt with Fredericton mostly in the airports. So now, you know, that we have more people with a little influence.
Any other comments? Okay.
Just on the other letter that the from the minister about not funding the transition team. She's kind of odd to me because I think that of course they didn't have any money left after we get the transition people that don't show us how it works. But so it's kind of odd and the high price of gas. I mean, some of these people travel about 56 different meetings and stuff like that. Seems kind of odd to do.
Yeah, I know there's been a number of queries about that. Ken, can you add anything to that?
Ken Anthony?
Queries for what? Sorry, I missed
The Minister Alain's letter denying funding support to transition team members.
Well, my involvement, Mr. Chair, is that in RC 9, when we put some of our groups together for board members, they were asking for remuneration, and I think that was happening in other RSCs. So where this was out there and there was RSC members asking for remuneration, the minister came out with a letter that included all the RSCs saying that there is, I think now within the respective RSCs, there is some monies available for travel and attending meetings, but there's going to be no extra money coming from the province. So just as the letter says that there's no funding available, and if the board wants to continue to be involved and, you know, absorb the expense, and can you call that a little bit of downloading? Yes, it is, but the minister says there's going to be no funding for it. So really outside of that, I can't say much about it, Ken.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Okay.
This goes back right to where when they started out at first, it wasn't gonna cost us anything. So now they're downloading, it is gonna cost.
There's only 1 member. I'm on the transition team up there. There's only 1 member of the board. And we're being shipped to 11 instead of staying to 10. But I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about all the other folks that have to travel. And they do travel and they're paying $2 or so a gallon for gas, liter for gas, you know. So I mean, it doesn't, you know, there's no money for this, but there's,
Maybe there's some clarification needed. It says transition committee members will not be paid to attend meetings. It does not say that maybe the LSD or the RFC might be able to pay them out. I haven't actually checked that out for myself, but I know that LSDs do have budgets in there for LSD members to travel and so on. But there's never ever been remuneration for LSD members. But I don't know how the towns population.
You have to work with five LSDs or parts of them. And the town doesn't pay either.
No, you have to that LSD care, you have the LSD member to go to his local service manager and ask for that. So I don't- and I don't know if anybody's actually done that or not.
Does he not get down to the nitty gritty? He's not saying that they won't pay mileage.
No, he's saying transition committee members
Right.
will not be paid to attend meetings. So he hasn't really
So
addressed.
get a clarification, see if they will cover mileage.
Expenses, will they cover?
Okay. I had a couple of other questions. Wade?
No, I was just saying, like, if they're, I think how I read that is that they would authorize mileage being covered, but I think it's up to the RSC to pay it. And I think they're saying that they don't want people to be paid a stipend for attending the meetings. But I mean, this is good people taking their time to help with this. And it's been kind of foisted on them by the government. So I mean, I don't know, whereas we're in a bit of a surplus financial position here. Would this be something that, I could make a motion on to say that I think that that transition team, the RSC transition team, should be compensated for mileage and a flat rate for attending meetings.
Nothing to stop us from doing that.
Right.
As an RSC.
Yeah, just to add to that, this RSC is paying mileage for board members who go to these meetings. We're not paying the, what do you call it?
Per diem.
The per diem or anything, just the mileage itself. So, and I know from the municipality's perspective in my community, if our CAO has to travel to one of these meetings, then we either provide a vehicle or we pay him mileage. So it's, Alan, you had something, I think you had your hand up.
No, I'm good. I don't even want to talk about this. I just say I went through it municipality wise and it didn't go well. So you're just going through the same thing we went through.
Yeah. I did see a letter that came in from UMNB this afternoon. I didn't have time to bring it here tonight. Did the other mayors all get that same letter that came out? They were questioning the cost to the municipalities and to the RSCs. Did you get that, Brad?
I did. That was a couple weeks ago now. Or is
I
this
just got
recent?
mine today.
Okay. I don't know if I've got that one yet. Double checking my inbox.
Or just an
Yeah,
email.
it's in there today. I haven't opened it yet.
I didn't really want to bring that one up here at the meeting tonight, but I did scan through it quickly and I didn't see anything in there on this particular topic. But there was a general consensus in there from UMNB that they were concerned about how the costs were going to be paid for by the province or whether they were going to be downloaded to the municipalities or the new entities. John Dedorakis?
Yes, thank you. I guess from the previous point that you were discussing, the situation with board members attending transition meetings is not different than what the municipalities and LSTs have to do to attend the meetings of a transition. There is no money. There is no money for them, and it is, at least it's consistent. The other question, which just covering, I just want to add my point. We had exactly the same question discussed in the transition meeting with the facilitator with regards to how the gearing up and staffing up of the RSCs is going to flow down to our budget. And that's a very important question, and no one seems to have an answer. So I believe that we have a responsibility to our members, to our member municipalities, to actually probe that question and ask it. because we are supposed to come up with a budget in the next few months. Meanwhile, we don't have any input about what kind of staffing the RS are doing and how much this thing is going to cost to the municipalities.
Thanks, John. We all share that concern. Yes, if I would say to Ken Anthony, I'm glad you hung around for the meeting because this is a major concern for the municipalities and the new entities here within RSC 10. And if you could take that back, that would be great.
Yeah, I will do that.
Winston?
Well, we brought the same thing up, Ken, and at our meeting with the facilitator, and he told us that the government was gonna see some space there to charge the LSDs for their counselors, for the municipal office, for administration, and so on and so forth. So we were told in the village to work our own out at what it's gonna cost us. And the government was gonna do 5 budgets for the LSDs. And they're gonna put in costs for counselors, mayors, and whatever else. So that's been told us anyway. Or he told us, yeah.
Not a lot of good answers. Glenn?
Well, I have a question on the St. John Airport.
Mhm.
So I understand there's someone that's interested. I guess what I'd like to know is, I think it would be great if someone from the area was on the board, but do we have any suggestions that people put their name forward if they want to be, or do we nominate somebody, or how are we gonna pick a name to nominate for that? I mean, I personally don't have any interest in being on the board, but
yeah.
That's off this board, isn't it? They
Right.
want someone off this.
Oh, no. I think it's someone from this board that they're looking for.
Yeah. But you see, in January, you're gonna have a new board, right?
New board.
Right.
You're gonna have everybody, well, a lot of members and less members. So, either way,
Well,
in January, you do
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna be a good time to assign people.
Yeah.
I think January would be the best choice because
Why not contact St. John Airport and ask them
Yeah.
if there's a timeline for this?
you might want somebody right now.
Right.
And is it a 3-year term, a 10-year term, or what is it?
That's the person that actually isn't gonna change. Whoever it is, and if there's somebody that's not changing, then
I can shed a little light on this if you want me to, Mr. Chair.
That'd be great, Hollis. Thank you.
I've attended their meeting, like their AGMs and stuff in the past. And as far as this goes, they're looking, I believe they've changed their nomination process and their way that they appoint people to their board. And so they'd be looking for names in fairly soon, because I think they're planning on doing this, certainly before the end of this year. And I think it may be in September. So I would suggest that, we gather, if people are interested, they can either email me or you. And then those should come before this board as a matter of motion to be nominated as potential board members of YSJ. Little background on YSJ for our board members. They are strikingly similar to our organization in terms of size of budget, in terms of size of capital expenditure, capital assets, number of employees, and even their governance structure is about the same as what we have currently. They are a not-for-profit, community-owned organization, very interesting organization that's gone through a lot of struggles with COVID, but they've come out quite well. So I think they're a great organization for us to be aligned with, and it'd be nice to have a seat on that board from our board, from my perspective anyway. But I think that if there are people, I know of one right now, but if there are others that are interested in being nominated, maybe send me their names, and then we'll make a formal thing at the next board meeting. That would be my suggestion, unless you want to do something different.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does it specifically say that it has to be a board member? Or could it be, for instance, a CEO?
No.
No? Okay. See what it says that. Thanks.
The only thing I would potentially suggest, Hollis, is perhaps we could have the names by the time we meet for the executive committee, which is in about 2 weeks' time.
Yep, that's a good idea. Next executive committee is January 14th.
June.
June 14th.
June 14th, sorry.
Did I see a hand up somewhere?
John.
John Bedarakis?
No. I love it.
Okay, okay. Okay, if there's any other comments, questions on those two? Okay, we'll let Ken take that back on the mileage for the committees. And if you're interested, submit your name for the board in St. John. Thanks, everyone. Okay. At this point, I generally ask, is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up before we go into close? Wade, I know you were going to ask the question.
Yeah, so I just wondering if Alex might be able to put a little more light on the earthquake and the seismic requirements as to how it really affects development in this area, exactly where it's applied to, like what range, so we can understand what municipalities might have to apply, or it applies to, what municipalities that it doesn't apply to. And like maybe an average cost. So if you're going to build a $300,000 home that doesn't need to meet the seismic requirement, how much more cost does this add? And how much more time to construction does it add? Does it apply to commercial as well as residential? And just kind of do up a little, I guess a PowerPoint presentation or something, so we understand this, because I'm hearing a lot of negative stuff, obviously, that it's holding bills up and it's costing extra money, and people aren't building in certain areas because they have to build with the standard. People are going to prefabbed as opposed to stick built construction because of just the way the whole thing works. I think it's either easier to build it in the factory in a mini home, or either it doesn't apply to the mini home. So I just wonder if Alex could do something to kind of just put it in perspective for us.
Al?
Yeah, Wade just brought up a valid point. How would, if I was to go order a manufactured home, how does that fall in there? Say it's ordered and it's not for a critical area or wherever it's, how's that working? Who's working with those people, those groups of builders?
Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Alex.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there is information on our website, and what I'm going to do here, if I may, I'm just going to quickly open up our website, just because I think this would be really handy for everybody to see this, because most of those questions can be answered. With respect to the manufactured homes, the manufacturers are aware of these requirements, and in fact, I believe most of these homes, and I maybe have to double check on this point, but most of them do meet this requirement anyway. So just a second here. So I'm not sharing my screen with everybody here. Just one second. Okay, so this is the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission inspections planning. You go under building codes. There's a whole bunch of it's a knowledge base we built with just how to use different sections of the code for residential mostly. We've put this right here because we've just been, as I said, recently we just had an influx of people who just had no familiarity with this. This is a 2015 code thing because it just came in last year for us. So there's still people who are not familiar with it. So you can find a very simple kind of how-to here for your plans and what works and what doesn't. This isn't anyone's particular plan, so this is just some samples that we've had from different guidelines that are out there. But this is, if you follow this, that gives you pretty straightforward. It's about the number of openings. So like if you're talking windows and doors, you can't have on certain walls, you can't have too many windows and doors on particular walls for that. It's about that horizontal stability. And so you can basically just show us on your plans where your earthquake bands are. See how these areas are highlighted? That gives you your your requirements. So if you have enough of these earthquake bands, then it can work for earthquake standards. Now, as to where it applies, we've actually put it into, or we even have a pamphlet here for contractors who want to go deeper. But we also have on the website a we have mapping that shows where what we're going to do here as well. This was what came up at our last roundtable with building inspectors. We want to print out these maps and share them with the different hardware stores if they wish to post them up or not. But that link here.
It goes right down to the spacing between the nailing on specific parts of the house. So that's to be closer together, for instance.
Doesn't cost a lot more money.
It's
No,
more work, but doesn't cost.
it's a technique thing more than cost.
There's more nails, more equitable.
If you're building ICF construction, it's more shear walls and more rebar.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a,
Thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
First time I hear that, I miss completely the how it came in. As a first question is, whose brainchild was this one?
the National Research Council.
The National Research Council.
The National Research Council. Do you have any tool to say that that this area, this province, is not a seismic area? We don't build a nuclear plant or a 200 or 20, 30 story building. Why they are adding another regulatory hurdle in the folks who want to just build a house? It's totally, as an engineer, I find it totally unjustified. What drove this to come in? Just because there is a research project somewhere, we are supposed now to adopt it?
Mr. Chair?
No, please.
So the actual Point LaCroix is not in this band. This is particularly centered on the St. Croix River, on both sides of the river, but are obviously just applying to our side. And it only came into effect in 2015. We got an updated seismic rating. I don't know what the technical term for it is.
2.9 or
something to that effect, but it doesn't apply out towards Point LaCroix. So it's not that we came up with something. It's just that when you hit that certain seismic rating, you automatically have to follow this earthquake standards. And it really is, it's just more about technique than it is cost. And
Alex,
so
on that last statement there, my understanding is that the province didn't need to adopt this. They could have chosen not to adopt it. And but that's what my research is telling me. And you know, it's one of these things. Yeah, it's great to be safe, and it's great to say we're gonna adopt high standards. But then we also have to look at what the effect and the cost is. And I still haven't got a good number on, like I say, a $350,000 home. If it's seismically built, it's going to cost 10% more or 5% more. It's going to take another 5 days to build because it's just a little bit more complex. You don't have anything like that kind of quantified yet?
no, it's like I'm saying, it's actually more about the technique in your plans. So if you have a lot of openings on one wall, then you might have to reduce the number of openings on that wall. Or if you have a very big open concept sort of space without any supporting walls running down the middle.
perpendicular walls.
Perpendicular walls, thank you. then it's about your planning stages. So the cost could occur if, say, you started construction with unimproved plans and now you have to retroactively meet earthquake standards. But if you get the plans approved, that's why we're trying to get all this stuff done at the beginning, so that there's no cost overruns. And simply these earthquake bans is making sure that your plans meet the standard. And it's not like you have to put in more material. You may have to think about putting the panels sideways for these earthquake bans as opposed to vertical in some cases, but it's not about increasing costs.
Alex, I'm just on the.
So Alex, what about renovations? Like what if somebody's going to put an addition on their home, or if somebody tears out a wall and wants to put, are these going to apply to renovations, upgrade?
Yeah. So like the new elements would have to meet it. It's not like you have to rip out your existing walls or anything like that, but any new elements do have to meet it.
But just a clarification on the building code. These seismic requirements have always been in the building code. The difference now is that the seismic activity has increased in this area. So there have always been seismic requirements in the building code for the whole country, and they're charts in the back of the building code. So it's not a brainwave of somebody to do it. It's just that the research has proven that the seismic activity on the St. Croix corridor has increased since the last code edition, and it now warrants a little bit of extra work. And as far as the question of the province adopting it, the province adopts the building code as a whole. But it's not, whoever's telling you that is not, it's spinning a tail. There's no option there for the province not to adopt those parts of the code. So it's always been there. It's just that it wouldn't be any different than
weather patterns.
Planning for flood protection. They used to plan for 500-year flood. Now it's 100 years. So those things change as things evolve. So they've registered more seismic activity in certain areas of the country. So therefore, the tables and the requirements go up. So that's how it evolved.
I'm building a house right now just west of St. George in the St. George LSD area, and this did not apply to my area.
So it does not apply to St. George.
It does not apply to
No.
St. George. No.
Okay.
Our seismic activity, we're far enough east of the line. It's a narrow band down near the St. Croix River from McAdam down through.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You know how many
So it's just,
pictures you have.
some of us are just special, I guess. Alan?
You shake the world.
Well, I'm on the river here, so is there a clear map that we can share? I think you mentioned something about putting it as a hardware store, but I mean clear, not clear like our entity map that's not clear. I want, it's this house here and where does it stop?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So there is a clear map on our website. Fortunately, I couldn't find it there in a quick search, so it's not clear enough. So I'm going to make sure tomorrow that it's posted right on our main page, a link, so you can type in a property and you'll see what if this applies or not.
Okay. Any last comments, questions for Alex?
Yeah, I'll just add to it. Let's say I am in that zone, I apply for a permit. Is it flagged at your spot, or is it up to me as the homeowner to tell you where I'm located?
So
Please go ahead,
yes, we'll definitely find if it is. But what we're trying to do is get some of the information to people ahead of time so that they're aware. And our main thing is to communicate with contractors. So the homeowner, people who are contracting, don't have to be concerned about this as much. It's more of an educational piece for the contractors in the area. And many are on board with this and understand it and are working with it and doing a great job. It's just some have kind of come into the area and this is new, and that's all it is.
Yeah, I just can sense a lot of confusion. I just want to make sure it's very clear and I would like, if I was to apply for a permit, if I'm in that area, whether it's flooding or earthquake zone, I'd want someone to say, okay, you want a permit, do you know this? You need to have this requirement, whatever. I don't think it should be up to a contractor and a homeowner that's considering building a house. And that contractor didn't know about it or know that they were in that area. I think there's gonna be a lot of phone calls with some of us in the future.
One thing we could do, because we've gone to a digital billing permit, we can actually put a link on there that when people do apply for a permit, it links to our map. So that could be something that we do, and I have considered that. So that may be one way of making sure people are aware.
Great, that'd be good.
I think you should take a step further. When I apply for a permit and it has to be approved, if we should know that, whoever we is, and you should just make it part of the permitting process, period.
I don't know.
Don't hand me a permit for a home if I can or can't. Like, it should be very clear, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Okay.
Because now they won't give you a permit if you don't have that information on your plans.
That's what all the holdup is down
That's
there.
what the whole up is now, so if you do a set of plans and turn it in, and you don't have those requirements built into your plans, then the commission's gonna say we can't give you a permit until you do, and then they're gonna try and help you, and guide you what you need, but you can't take all the responsibility off the contractor as well. The contractor is responsible to know the building code, and it's a building code item. It's not a provincial item or regulation or anything else. It's a building code item, the same as any other code item. So they are responsible to research it, or the architect, or whoever does the plans. However, there is a training, a learning process. So,
Okay.
I still want to add more to this. I know it's dragging this out too long. Ken, I apologize. But what I could be already buying my plans right now without my contractor involved. And then all of a sudden I find out that a huge cost of windows that I already ordered because they're 14 to 18 weeks or months or whatever the heck it is. I can sense a lot of complaints coming. I just hope that we're better prepared. I think we got to focus some energy on that.
I think from the perspective of this discussion, it's been very good that we have identified that there's I won't say a discrepancy, but there's an educational process that's required here. I think the linkages that Alex is talking about making to our software will make a significant change to that. But I'd also like to keep this discussion open if mayors or councilmen are still hearing about issues with this building code. We should probably hear a little more about it and see if we can address it in some way. Glenn, you have a map or something I see.
Yeah, I found the map, and so building a house for me was a learning experience, and I didn't know, hey, I worked with my brother doing construction in 1980, and I didn't realize how much it changed. And there is an education to the average person out there that's going to try to build a house in rural New Brunswick and thinks they can do this the way they used to. If you're going to hire a builder to build your house, probably okay. But if you're looking at being a general contractor, think twice, because I bought plans, and I'm lucky I didn't happen to be in that zone, but I could have been, and I didn't know. But I mean, I'm not sure where it's the responsibility of the Regional Service Commission to tell everybody everything, and where it's the responsibility of the homeowner or the home builder to find out what they need to know. There's some responsibilities on both sides. And for me, I thought I could just go build a house.
That's what most people think.
Yeah.
Really.
Couldn't we have to put on our website, on the planning website?
How do you enforce
If
it
you're
one
gonna
area
build a
or the
house,
other? I mean,
check out
I
all.
would say St. George, he's not there.
Yeah.
He's not on it, but I'm 10 miles away by the water and we're on it. And I admit we run, our building inspection process is probably not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind, especially with today's construction, everything's 2x6. I mean, people, house is built pretty strong.
Well, and for insulation, 2x6 is getting iffy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad we brought this topic up. It certainly generated a lot of discussion, and so therefore.
I have a last comment, if I may.
Yes, John, and then we'll shut it off.
Like I feel quite uncomfortable with the fact that we are accepting without, we don't make any point in actually pushing back on an increased regulatory burden who may not be justified, particularly for our area. 40 years ago, when I built a building, I bought a book from CMHC and everything was there. I did not have to actually had any inspections, or I hired an electrician, I hired a carpenter, and they did it. We are getting more and more and more regulatory burden. At the same time, we are just making observations that the housing cost went from $70 to $280 a square foot. So I believe we have a responsibility to actually give some feedback back that somehow we are the architects of our own trouble when we unquestionably accept all these additional regulatory requirements. That's all.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for a good discussion. If there's nothing else to be brought up, and I say that slowly so people can bring something up if they wish. Okay. Nobody brought anything up, so we'll conclude this, but we need to go into closed session. Okay, yeah, we should do date and time of next meeting. Date and time, June 23rd. At 6 p.m. And so I would like to have someone move that we adjourn.
So.
Thank you, Winston. We'll now move into closed session, please.
I'll say goodbye to everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Were there any, maybe